Hello, and welcome back to the Jaredcast.
Woo!
I'm Jared. I'm half of your hosts for the time being. And with me, as always, Jared Uncommon. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I am beardless. I am ponytailless.
He's a new man.
I'm a new man. I'm doing calisthenics before showering every day. Um, I'm journaling and then using the entries as source material for other things. Um, yeah, it's a fun time. It's a fun time to be a Jared.
It is. Some say 2024 is actually the year of Jareds. It's the statistical best year to be a Jared.
I don't know why.
I don't know. I didn't read the article. I just saw the
Yeah.
headline. Yeah, today's a big episode.
Yes.
Because we're doing our top 10 movies of 2023, our 10 favorites. Uh, get ready to be angry at us. Get ready to have differing opinions and angrily typing them out. Please do, because I'd love to hear other people's lists.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still so behind on movies this year that like definitely an incomplete list. Definitely have an asterisk on it. But I'm still happy with it nonetheless.
I'm happy with my list too, but I definitely could have seen more. I this I think 2020 or 2018 through 2022, I probably saw an average of over 200 movies a year.
Yeah,
And this year, 2023, or I guess last year, I saw less than 200. I saw about
he
180.
saw 10 movies.
No, 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 no. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. It's very um, kind of an up and down year, but the highs were very high, and so I'm happy to shout out those highs in our top tens. Um, and yeah, I also feel like I missed out on a lot of foreign movies. So that's definitely something I want to improve on in
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah, usually I do pretty good when I'm like there's always an end of the year like rush to catch up on every movie. And that's usually when it's like foreign film after foreign film after foreign film. This
Yeah,
year not so much. I wish I squeezed more in. Um
yeah.
but alas.
I squeezed two in today, and one of them I did not like, but one of them actually jumped a lot of movies to make the list, so I'm very excited to talk about
Oh,
it.
I'm excited
Um,
to hear about it.
Hell yeah. But before we do that, let's just give some honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And why don't we start with your list, Jared?
These were all incredibly close. Like literally, you could switch any of these movies out with my 8 through 10 spots, and I would still be as happy with my list. Um, but I just was feeling my number 10 a little bit more, so they fell a little to the wayside. I've got The Holdovers, which was a big movie for a lot of people. I loved it. I thought it was nice and cozy. Just not as much as enough to as my top 10. The Boy and the Heron. I just felt like a lot of it went over my head, but it still had the whimsy, and I still loved it. I had a great time in the theater. Another couple great animated movies, Across the Spider Verse and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Both narrowly missed my list. Spider Verse, mostly because it's a part one, so I feel like I haven't seen the whole story.
Yeah.
That was probably the closest of the animated movies. I've also got Blackberry, which was a great biopic that I was not expecting to be as good as it was. Joyride, which we covered on this podcast. Love it. One of the funniest movies of the year. This one might be a surprise. The Killer. Did not quite make my top 10. The
Wow.
Fincher Stan has not stand enough. I loved it. I thought it felt refreshing. It has maybe like even my favorite fight scene of the year in it. There's a lot of tension, um, but I don't know. Some of it just didn't hold my interest as much as some of his other movies, and as much as 10 other movies this year. And probably the closest to making my number 10. I switched this out a lot was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah.
I think it's like the best pubescent coming of age story since like eighth grade, maybe. I loved it. I thought it was great. Was not expecting to like it as much as I did, and it very, very narrowly missed my list.
Yeah, same, honestly. We have a lot of matchups in our honorable mentions. I do appreciate the shout out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem because didn't make my honorable mentions, but I enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, man, I'm glad you liked Blackberry. I had a feeling you would as an Always Sunny fan.
Yeah.
Um, that line that he yells in the conference room has to be one of the best of the year. It's just such a great quote.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I forgot about the holdovers. I probably should have put it in my honorable mentions because for me it was just such a treat to see Paul Giamatti on the big screen again for so long. He's been
Yeah.
doing TV for like the past 8 years. So it's he's just amazing in that movie. Everybody should go see it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I also had Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Um, uh, I'll watch anything Rachel McAdams is in, man. And holy
Yeah.
shit, this movie was good. And I'm not even a big like coming of age guy, you know.
No, it's usually not your thing at all.
Yeah. I also had Joyride on my honorable mentions. I had the Ballerina, which is a South Korean action movie. Very, very good. It had no business being as good as it did. Um,
Okay.
it's basically John Wick with a ballerina, and it's
I'm in.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, she's great. Um, and Asteroid City made my honorable mentions. Uh, very, very good Wes Anderson movie. I feel like he's always in my honorable mentions, but I still like the features that he puts out. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I thought was a very worthy and very good finale to the saga of this team. Good way to end James Gunn's run with Marvel, and the one of the few like really actually like good hero movies that came out over the past like 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
Also, I would include Spider-Man in that conversation. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was excellent. Uh, it is not like it probably would have made my top five had I seen part two sooner. Or if I by the time I see part two, it'll move up to my top five. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because if they're doing this well, then there's no way they can fuck it up. Blackberry's there, Iron Claw is there. If you want to smile for almost exactly an hour and then cry for almost exactly an hour, that's the movie for you.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't make it to that one. It was on my list that I got COVID and it like just slipped through before we recorded this, but still in theaters, so I'm gonna try to run.
yeah, yeah, and it'll for sure get nominated, so I'm sure you'll have plenty of chances.
Yeah.
I don't think Infinity Pool will get nominated, but it should
I
because Mia
don't think it
Goth is
will.
awesome.
I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then last but not least, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. Again, an excellent movie. Uh, because it's an incomplete story, it's hard for me to put it above anything in the bottom 10.
Fair enough, fair enough. Shall we get on with the
Let's,
good stuff? Now that we
let's
got that trash out of the way.
He's absolute garbage. Iron Claw.
Yeah. Now that the lesser cinema is gone. So I'm gonna start out number 10. This was one that I think slipped through some cracks for people, mostly because it's on Peacock. Nobody's got it. But I caught it at South by Southwest, much like decent chunk of my list, to be honest. Um, and it blew me away there. I rewatched it last night, and it blew me away again. And that's If You Were the Last, a nice sci-fi rom-com starring Zoe Chow and Anthony Mackie, by Christian Mercado Figueroa. I don't know why that was so hard for me. This movie, we had a lot of like giant movies this year. Which I should also mention, three of the big ones are going to be missing from my list. I just didn't want to talk to about them more because everybody will. I'm sure we're going to hear about them. So I didn't include Oppenheimer, Barbie, or Killers of the Flower Moon. You'll hear my opinion on them, don't worry. But like, for just making a different kind of list, I took them out. But there were a lot of giant spectacle movies this year, and this movie, If You Were the Last, did so much with so little. The set design is like very Paper Mario in a way. It's like super cartoony, bare bones, like incredibly low budget. But the charm is there, the charisma is there. There's great dance numbers. It makes you laugh. It makes you think a lot about the situation they're stuck in. It's about two astronauts stuck on a failed mission to orbit Jupiter, and they're just drifting in space, and they're like no hope of rescue. And it's phenomenal. I loved it. I thought it was great. Get a free trial for Peacock and watch it.
Hell yeah. I have seen both of these actors in a lot of different things, and I love both of them, but somehow I totally missed this movie. I didn't even hear about it, so I'm very happy to hear the recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna re-download Peacock during the Olympics, so I'll watch it then.
Yeah,
Um,
they actually had better stuff than I thought they would. I
oh
got a
yeah,
free trial just for this, but like looking through their catalog, I was surprised. I just
yeah.
kind of wrote them off until this week.
There's like a mystery show with Kristen Milioti that I've been wanting to watch on Peacock. I definitely want to get that one. And then also they have all the psych uh,
Hmm.
specials. Yeah, my number 10 slipped through a lot of people's cracks. It's kind of, sort of, technically a 2022 movie, but it came out in the US on February 3rd, 2023. But it's called Godland. Have you heard of this?
I have. I
Okay.
really want to watch it, but I haven't yet. It looks
Okay, okay.
gorgeous.
It is insanely gorgeous. So this movie is based on 7 photos that were found in the middle of Iceland. And it's just kind of trying to unlock the story behind these photos that were found and taken um, in the 1800s. And yeah, so our story follows a priest who's sent from Denmark, which at the time had colonized Iceland and used it as a territory, and was trying to, and so they're trying to spread Christianity into the Icelandic people's places and build Christian settlements of Danish people in Iceland. And so you get this priest who is totally unprepared for the wilderness and totally unprepared for this other culture and for these people heading out into the very, very harsh world of Iceland and capturing some of the sights and the people with his camera. But yeah, like he encounters a lot and endures a lot, and you but it's shot in Academy aspect ratio, and it's just very, very good. It's so gorgeously edited. It's so gorgeously shot. I don't even know what else to compare it to this year. Um, I would say it is probably the best cinematography of the year. You know, I originally had Oppenheimer there and a couple others, but Godland knocks them all out of the water. Um, and I've been watching every possible documentary that I can on Iceland, just because I really want to go to Iceland. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's just awesome. It's so good. It's available on the Criterion channel.
Okay. Yeah, it seemed incredible. And I just hadn't seen it. I didn't know it was on Criterion. I'll have to check it out there. But yeah, I saw like stills from it, and I was like, I need this movie in my life because like I mean, it's easy to make Iceland look beautiful for sure, but it seems like they go above and beyond with it.
For
So I'm
sure.
happy. I'm happy it made you list. You re-sparked my interest in it for sure. Um, my number nine was one of your honorable mentions. It's got all-star cast as this director always does. It's Asteroid City. I really liked it. I think the French Dispatch cleared it a little bit, and I also enjoyed his shorts this year a lot as well. But this world that he builds is it's just so whimsical and awesome. It's got my favorite alien design of the year. Um, Favorite musical number of the year, probably. Dude, one of the biggest laughs in the theater. I loved it, dude. Yeah, there's just something weird and wonderful about this one that like made it stick in my head for the whole year because it came out pretty early. Well, not really. It was June 15th, but early enough to be on my mind for 6 months. And yeah, I loved it. I loved that multiple characters kind of like are the same person, and it doesn't quite make sense all the way. I don't know. There was enough like ambiguity and mystery to just really feed my brain. And obviously, it's going to look cool. It's Wes Anderson. Everything's going to be pleasant to look at the entire time. But this one just felt special in the theater, and I liked it a lot, and it stuck with me. So, number nine, Asteroid City.
Hell yeah. Yeah, amazing performances. Definitely my favorite. Uh, like my favorite scenes in those movies were between Schwartzman and Johansson. It's just
Yeah,
yeah, so
when they're
tender
talking
and so
like through the
nice,
windows and stuff, it was
so
ooh.
good, so good. Um, my number nine is also very funny, but for very different reasons. It is Sanctuary. Have you heard of this one?
Mm. I've seen like the picture on streaming, but I never clicked on it.
Okay, it's like Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, but it's very very mean. Um,
Okay,
like
I'm listening.
so that was a movie that you recommended to me a couple of years ago. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It's about a sex worker and their favorite client, basically just stuck in a room for the whole movie. Um, but yeah, these two people just unlock something just absolutely demonic in each other. They just bring out the
Okay.
absolute worst in each other, and it is awesome. There's a lot of
Yeah.
dumb scripting in this stuff. There's a lot of like very, very like twisted, but kind of lovely interactions between the two of them, and then it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. This is what the Fifty Shades trilogy should have been. I do
Yeah.
wish the movie was a little bit like I wish they showed some more of the kinkiness, but um, that being said, the dialogue is very cutting and very like, oh my god, I can't believe you said that to a person. Um, yeah, it is not for the faint of heart. It is definitely not for everybody. But Margaret Qualley and Christopher Abbott are the movie couple of the year, man. It is so twisted and delightful, and yeah, um, That's my number nine. It's available on Hulu.
Okay. Noted. Noted. Mine is also available on Hulu, but you gotta pay a little extra. You gotta fork over some Showtime money. Um, this one's twisted for sure. It is equally twisted. This is one of those movies that it could drop off of my list or it could shoot to like number one on a rewatch. But I just haven't rewatched it. And so there's just so much thrown at you so fast and for so long that it's kind of a mystery to me. And that is Beau is Afraid. Um,
Yeah.
this year's Ari Aster entry is a fucking wild ride, like to say the least. Each section of the film is like so defined and unique and mesmerizing in a hilarious or terrifying way. Um, it's one of my favorite edible journeys I've seen in a very long time, if not ever. There's a lot of like Odyssey in here, and it's weird because it shouldn't be. Um, there's just the most insane things you can imagine in this movie. Um, but like, I don't know, it just kind of connected with me the way they like portray anxiety and portray like some of those moments. Or I don't know, this movie really just baffled me and confused me and made its way up to number eight. I loved Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I think it's his best this year. Uh, he had a decent amount of movies come out this year, and I think this was my favorite. But across the board, great performances, terrifying, hilarious, everything I wanted out of a Ari Aster entry. Surprised me for sure, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
Uh, yeah, great pick. I really liked Beau is Afraid. I I think the first 45 minutes are my number one of the year, and then the the next like hour is like my number 10 of the year, and then like the last hour is like number 50.
And that's fair. I think that is 100% valid. I also thought it kind of peaks in the first act. Like
Yeah,
the shot of him running back into his apartment is like one of the most stressful moments of the year by far.
yeah,
Um, but I just love that it takes you on such a strange journey through like so many different places.
yeah. He's really got the gift, Ari Aster, and I was happy to watch it in a theater just full of A24 people. So it was like everybody was laughing. It was a good time.
Good, good.
That was number eight, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. My number eight is an Argentine and American production. This is available on Shudder, this the horror lovers streaming service, and it's called When Evil Lurks. Have you heard about this one?
No, the title sounds vaguely familiar, but I wouldn't fancy a guess at what it's about.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, however, like it's the low budget horror of the movie of the year. It is so damn good, and so gross, so disturbing. If you think there's a line, uh, they don't know about it. Like they cross they do so many things that American horror movie studios would never even dream of doing, and they do it on a micro budget. A lot of great, excellent practical effects, a lot of interesting performances, a lot of crazy looking, like one crazy looking creature for sure. Um,
Mm.
and then and then ultimately very cathartic, but very uh, intense ending finale for sure. And yeah, it's about family. It's about uh, the world and love and trying to protect the people that you love. But it's also about just like the the nature of like evil in people. And so it's about these two brothers who find out that there's a that someone is possessed and they're about to give birth to a demon, and they have to figure out what to do with that. Uh, they lay out the rules of this type of demon and this type of possession very clearly. Um,
That's
but
good.
these rules, yeah, but these rules play out in ways that you do not expect. It is very, very creepy, very, very gory, and when you get through the first 15 minutes, you'll understand why it's on my list. Yeah, number 8, When Evil Lurks, available on Shudder.
Sounds like a great movie that I'm dying to watch, and will definitely have to watch alone because it will not pass the vibe check. But
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot for sure. I
Yeah.
think I still got a Shutter subscription too, which is nice.
Hmm. Hell yeah.
My number 7 is not available anywhere. So I'm sorry if I get your hopes up. Maybe this will be a call to action for it to be picked up by streaming. You could DM the director. Maybe she'll send it over to you. I don't know. Either way, it deserves the spot on my list. Las Hijas. Sister and Sister is the English title, from Panama, director Katia Zuniga. So talented. Definitely one to watch. If I hear about a movie being released by her, I'm gonna see it because this was just delightful. It follows two sisters going back home, traveling by bus through the Panama tropical jungle into their hometown to meet up with their family and ask their father for some help. But it's so good. Their dynamic is amazing. It dives into like some huge complexities of like young love and like desire and like looking for toward the future, but like being so stuck in your teenage petty problems now. The Just the vibe of it being summer in Panama is immaculate. Every character absolutely blew me away with like some super young acting talent that I think was like incredibly inexperienced too. Um, yeah, just an absolutely delightful film, beautifully shot. Like some of the stills of this are rival like some higher entries on my list that are there mainly for cinematography. This is right up there with them. The score is fantastic. Everything about this movie was just blew me away. For such a small budget indie film that we saw on a whim at a festival. Uh, Absolutely loved it. It has stuck with me. It has been on my mind. It will still be on my mind. Please release it on any service whatsoever, just so I could force people to watch this movie because I will.
Please do. Please force me to watch it when it comes out. Because yeah,
Yeah.
again, I've never heard of it since. But yeah, yeah, I'm looking at it on the photos that they have on Rotten Tomatoes, and it looks gorgeous. So
Hmm.
I really hope it does get picked up. Um, my number 7 is on Netflix. Netflix had a really strong year this year,
Yeah.
between
So,
Physical 100 and
did you finally watch it?
I did finally watch it.
Let's go.
Yeah, Netflix had a great year from Physical 100 to Blue Eye Samurai. But one of the things that really got me jazzed about Netflix was The Killer. I got to see this in theaters, thankfully. It's like it was only available for just a week in downtown LA, which is the worst place to go see a movie. Uh, I saw it while I had tickets to see it while a Laker game was playing, and so the
Ooh.
traffic was so bad that I missed the first 40 minutes of the movie. So I go to the person and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I couldn't park anywhere. Is there any way I can exchange this ticket for a later showtime? So they're like, yeah, just come back at 9:30 and it'll be, you don't have to pay for it. I was like, okay, cool. So
Oh, yeah.
so I leave the theater, I go to a nearby bar, watch the Laker game, Lakers win, hell yeah. Walk back 5 minutes and I go to see The Killer, and yeah, this movie is really really awesome. It's kind of a neo noir, um, but it's very like tongue in cheek, very like kind of mocking the kind of male hero bravado of like being this stone cold killer, but then like all of it goes wrong all the time.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
he thinks he's so fucking cool on this bench eating McDonald's, and then he just completely messes up his entire operation. Um, yeah, the killer character played by Michael Fassbender is so magnetic and so um, yeah, it's just a really fun kind of darkly comedic, kind of really just cool, cold, and efficient Fincher. Um, Definitely, like I agree with you. Like it's not like a masterpiece compared to like his other ones, but I just had so much fun with it, and it's definitely a movie that I can see myself watching over and over and over again, just for funsies.
Yeah.
Um,
I also like that it feels like Fincher had fun with it. Like it feels like he was like
yeah,
super jazzed and excited to make it. I don't know. It makes me smile to just see it. It feels like a early Fincher movie compared to like where he is now.
definitely. I feel like he made Mink because he felt like he had to, and then he made this one
Yeah,
because he really, really wanted to. Yeah,
exactly. And I think it comes through for sure. I'm glad it made your list. My number, what are we at? Six. Is another pretty heavy hitter this year. I think this one topped some people's list and was very high on a lot of people's lists. Made it pretty high on mine as well. It's the Palme d'Or winner, Anatomy of a Fall.
ooh,
Um, I am not a
very
big
cool.
courtroom drama fan. I love 12 Angry Men. I'll swear by it through and through. Besides that, I'm kind of tapped out on the genre. But this one just comes together in such a beautiful and gripping and heart wrenching way. I love the family dynamics at play. You've got like dynamics of a mother and son, father and son, husband and wife, and they're all so complex, and they all come to a head during this trial in a crazy, crazy way. Um, the score, they do some crazy stuff with the score that and diegetic music that I hadn't really seen in many films, especially pulled off to this degree. The cinematography is uh, simple but works beautifully for it. It plays with ambiguity in a way that I hadn't seen all year and in a long time. It just makes you sit in it. You don't know what's happened. You won't have any answers until they really need you to know the vital information. And I love that. It takes balls to just like leave an audience in the dark the way this movie does. And I think it pays off wonderfully. It's got some great child acting, which I always give extra credit for sure. The leads, Sandra Hewler and Swan Arland, are absolutely magnetic as well. This one, I don't know. It was one of those movies where for the first hour and a half, I was like, this is not going to make my top 10. I should have just watched Dream Scenario or something to try and add another entry. But then the last hour, I was like, this is contender for one of my favorite movies of the year. It just wraps up in such a nice way. I absolutely loved it. It's available on Apple TV, Prime, Vudu, YouTube. It's one of those you give somebody $6 and you can watch it kind of movies where it's on whatever you need. And I'd recommend it. I think it's absolutely worth the watch.
It definitely is for the performances alone, but also like the thing that I think takes it to the next level is the way they use sound in it. So much of what happens in the background and and what gives you the a lot of the emotional gut punches are what you listen to and what the people
Hmm.
are forced to listen to in that courtroom. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's a very good movie. It did not make my list, um, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I also really loved um, uh, Miss Hüller Hüller, and I'm sorry, my German is sorry. I loved her in another movie called The Zone of Interest, which did not make my list.
Yeah, I've
But
been dying to see that one. I didn't know
yeah,
she was in it, but
yeah, she plays the mom.
mm,
But yeah, both movies very narrowly missed my list. They're very good. Highly recommend Anatomy of Fall and Zone of Interest. And my number six, which is Suzume, the follow up to Makoto Shintai's kind of magical realism vibes that he establishes in Your Name. And, or I guess he did it in his other movies too, but Your Name blew up, international success, one of the greatest movies ever made. Weathering with You, also excellent, also magical realism. And Suzume is not quite on the same level as those, but still excellent. And this movie takes a turn that I did not see coming in the first like 10 minutes of the movie. I was like, what? That happens to this character? What? And it ends up being one of my favorite things about the movie. Um, there's some there's a lot of great family dynamics in her journey, in Suzume's journey. Um, like Shintai's other movies or Shinkai's other movies. Um, uh, it starts out confusing and then just gets like uh, like totally gut wrenching once everything comes together.
mhm.
So yeah, highly recommend Makoto Shinkai's Suzume.
Yeah. I loved Your Name, and I remember you recommending this one pretty heavily when it came out. I just didn't get a chance. I didn't see it. I wish I saw it in theaters because I remember seeing the title and thinking that's some weeb shit. I'm gonna pass. And that would have been the time to see it for sure in a theater. I think it would have been a nice trip to the movies, but I missed it. It's never too late though. I'll try to catch it elsewhere. Um, my number five, double check that we're on
Yeah,
number five. Yeah, number five. Um, this was one that I was super hyped for. All I had to do was see the cast, and I was 100% in. My parents watched it before me and said, "This is breathtaking and very cringy at times." And it's Saltburn, and I agree. I think it is pretty cringy at times. It's got maybe the grossest improvised scene I've ever seen. But I don't care because Barry Keoghan is the fucking man, dude. I've loved him in every movie from Banshees to Green Knight. But he's always like this weird, quirky side character, and I love that I finally got to like fully take him in as a lead, and he knocked it out of the park. And I need him in every movie now. Not to shit on the rest of the cast; they were all great, from Rosamund Pike down to Carrie Mulligan for the brief moments she is in there. But this movie is gorgeous to look at. It's absolutely stunning. It takes so many weird turns and plays with you. I went in like very blind in terms of like seeing trailers or synopsis or anything. And it started off as a nice like portrayal of loneliness that I kind of felt pretty hard, and then it turns into like a takedown of the upper middle class and their greed and like all the way to some other shit that I won't get into without spoiling the movie. But every corner that this movie kind of scrounged around in and dissected and picked apart, I was here for. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was revolting. I thought it was enthralling. And all of those emotions were perfect for what I needed. So number five is going to be Saltburn.
The scene that you're mentioning, I'm assuming that's the bathtub thing.
Well, that too. But the improvised one was when he fucks the grave. He
Oh, okay,
just like
okay.
did that on his own, which is crazy.
Cool, cool. Yeah. The bathtub scene was probably my favorite scene in the movie, and
Mhm.
I agree on Barry's performance and on the cinematography. I think it looks great, especially and the production design as well. It's just really really good. Elordi's
Yeah,
also very good. Also very good as Elvis, I must say, and Priscilla. Um, I still am not sure whether or not I like it, so I left it off the
that's
list.
fair. That's
Yeah,
valid, dude. I don't
it's
blame you.
the movie's so all over the place that I'm trying to just like I don't know. I really don't
Yeah.
know.
This is kind of spoilery, so maybe you want to cut it. But it starts out like "Call Me by Your Name," and then it ends like "Parasite" or "The Handmaiden." You're just like, what? What? How do we get here?
Yeah, yeah, no, it was definitely interesting. There were times where I wanted more, times where I wanted, especially in that first half. But I definitely understand everybody's love for it, and I can see myself engaging with it more and more and more as the years to come. And and maybe it'll crack my 10. By the time we get to 2026 or something, and I've seen it a few times more. But definitely, yeah, like everybody's performances are just excellent, and I'm interested to see where Emerald Fennell is going to go from here,
Yeah,
because it's such
agreed.
a weird shift from her previous movie to this one.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's on Prime. I didn't say that. Watch it there.
yeah, hell yeah. Speaking of sexual depravity, I have no. This isn't. It's not really. Most of it's not depraved. Some of it is very depraved, but a lot of it's very awakening. Of course,
Hmm.
of course. It's not a Jared on Conan list without a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. Yeah, he's gonna make my list every year, man. He's one of my favorite
Yeah,
filmmakers. Probably my favorite A24 boy. It's Poor Things. This is for sure my favorite Emma Stone performance of all time. I think, and I love the cast. Willem Dafoe has a big soft spot in my heart for him. I have a big soft spot in my heart for him. I love how fucking hilarious Mark Ruffalo was in this movie when she slaps him. He's ow. Like it's such a silly accent. um, and yeah, yeah, it was just um, really beautifully realized from start to finish. I love the cinematography, especially the black and white. But when it explodes into color, it's really really good looking color. I was kind of
Mhm.
afraid that like once they moved out of that it wouldn't look as abstract or as out there, but it definitely did. I love the way Lanthimos uses lenses in his movies, especially those extremely wide angles. To me, they just make everything kind of more fun. The dance scene is as good as they say it is, and
Yeah.
it's definitely my favorite dance of 2023 in cinema. And yeah, gotta go with Poor Things. Gotta go with Poor Things.
You gotta. Yeah, Emma Stone deserves the Oscar this year, 100%. This was also a great year for set design and production design in general, and I think Poor Things is an
Mhm.
easy highlight of that, for sure. Willem Dafoe, always a treasure. Yeah, this movie does a lot of interesting stuff incredibly well. Absolutely loved it. A great choice for sure. My number four is my only horror entry on this list. I think this was a pretty weak year for horror. I mean, like there were some fun ones. Like the new Evil Dead was more fun than I thought it would be, but overall, it kind of left me wanting more for the genre. But we got a great highlight with Talk to Me. I absolutely loved this movie. I think it's one of the most fun movies of the year, easily. Um, I think, especially for a directorial debut, it just feels so original, but like familiar with its concepts. But really, it just came down to like entertainment value. This was the one that I second most. The one that rewatched second most. But I loved it every time I saw it. I think I saw it like three times, two or three. But it's so much fun. It's scary. You feel for the characters. We did a whole review on it, so I won't go into too much detail. If you've seen it, you want spoilers, check that out on YouTube. But I think for horror, it shined bright in a year that was pretty dark for me, and I needed it because I love horror.
I love horror as well, and yeah, I agree. There definitely could have been more. But Talk to Me was so good, and it really got under my skin in such a powerful way. Um, Not because of uh, the like it can very easily be seen as like a don't do drugs movie, but
Hmm.
there's a really like heavy sense of loneliness and isolation that comes from addiction, and this movie is very, even despite its supernatural subject matter, is very realistic about that, and realistic about
Hmm.
how addiction doesn't just alienate the addict, it alienates the people around the addict. And so it's really, 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 really good. Um, love, love, love. Talk to me.
Yeah.
My number four is Godzilla minus one. Uh,
I was waiting for it. I knew it'd appear at some point. I'm shocked it took so long.
yeah, man. This movie is I'll wait for some time to pass, but I think this might be the best Godzilla movie, or my favorite Godzilla movie ever made. It is
Hmm.
absolutely that good. Whatever you've heard about it, whatever hype you've seen from it, it's all worth it. This movie is so sick. Yes, it's a giant monster movie. Yes, there's Japanese melodrama in the dialogue, but all of it comes together in such a beautiful and interesting and powerful way that I found myself caught up in it. Uh, I love all the American Godzilla movies except for Roland Emmerich's one in the 90s. But I love the Warner Brothers Godzilla movies. To me, those are just really fun, like action movies starring Godzilla. But this is one where it's a movie where it kind of brings Godzilla back to his roots of being the monster, of being this thing that doesn't just represent an atomic bomb, but represents the heavy cloud of tragedy that hung over Japan after World War II. And it actually, the part that surprised me about it, because I was going into it very skeptical. I was like, there's a lot of unfortunate history erasure that happens in Japan, and this movie freely critiques the Japanese Empire and critiques the way that their government treats their people and treated their people, especially in the years following the war. So, um, and the years during the war. So, this movie is very like it takes the kind of kamikaze mindset and just like annihilates it,
Mm.
and is really about people coming together to fight this thing. So it's very very good. Godzilla's rampages are devastating and sad and terrifying, and I loved every second of this movie.
Yeah. This was one of those. I haven't seen it. I was going to double feature with Iron Claw, so it slipped through the same as that. But I'm not a big monster movie guy, not a big kaiju movie guy. But like this one's been getting so much hype, and like everything I've heard makes it sound like it would weasel its way into my alley. And I'm excited to see it. I'm stoked. I'm going to for sure. I just haven't yet, so I'm not surprised it made your list. I'm glad it did because it seems like it deserves all the love that it that it got. Um,
Oh
my
yeah.
number three is very different. Um, much differently than Godzilla -1. It's another rom com, a little more on the dramatic side though. It's Past Lives. I fucking loved this
Ooh.
movie, man. I thought it was great. I think it also lived up to all the hype that it's been getting. Um, Amazing chemistry from the leads. Obviously, you kind of need that just to be able to make a movie like this. I think it presented a different kind of love that I hadn't really seen, at least as directly as this does it. I love that it's this rekindling of something special, but like so much time has passed, so many events have passed that it like muddies the water. So you're not exactly rooting for the characters to be together, but you're just kind of admiring the push and pull that the filmmakers can they do with this, especially for another directorial debut. This was a great year for releasing your first feature length movie because there's so much heat coming out of this fresh blood. It's very exciting. Um, yeah, this is a stunning movie. It's a heart wrenching movie. It's a funny movie at times. There's a shot from this movie that has burrowed itself into my head so deep that I don't think I'll ever forget it. It's when his children they like go down separate paths, and she goes up the stairs and he follows down the alley. Fuck, dude. Like fuck, dude. There's just something about it that like tears you apart. That and like the last shot. Um, just absolutely beautiful. This whole movie is beautiful. I will be rewatching it frequently moving forward because it's just something special about it, man.
I was just saying, yeah, every like Asian American that I've talked to that's seen this movie, like it's a great screenplay when all of them identify with the white guy the most. And,
Yeah.
and I thought Arthur, played by John Magaro or Magaro, I thought yeah, he was the highlight of the movie for me, and I think it's a wonderful directorial debut. I've been in love with Greta Lee since September 17th, 2021, when the Morning Show season 2, episode 1 came out. Um, I'm so happy that she now has like some movie hype and some mainstream hype,
Mhm.
because she's an excellent actress, and I can't wait to see where her career goes from here.
Yeah. Agreed. Except I haven't seen the morning show.
Oh, okay, yeah. Um, yeah, she plays like the head of news in season 2. So she's
Mm,
just like
okay.
bossing Jennifer Aniston around the entire time. It's awesome.
That's awesome. I remember seeing her because my fiance watched it, and I would see like parts over her shoulder, and I recognized her when we watched this. I was like, "Where do I know her from?" but that's like that's like all my interaction with the morning show.
Yeah. Um, my number three, or no, yeah, my number three, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Sorry.
Nobody else's. Nobody
Um,
can take it away from you.
sorry, this delay is throwing me off. Um, the my number three is Killers of the Flower Moon. Um, naturally, yeah, this movie is as good as they say it is. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes these historical dramas that are about the trauma of a people tend to, fall flat or exploit or make it kind of sappy. This one, I don't think it does. I think this is a movie that is about the steadfastness and the strength of the Osage Nation. Um, and it's also about the evil in and the level of greed that exists in men's hearts, and that level of greed that built America. A lot of the villains in this movie created the infrastructure that these Native Americans lived in. Um, is such a remarkably painful stain on our history. I'm 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 I had no idea that this was even a thing before this movie was announced.
Same.
I thought it was going to be like an FBI movie. I didn't realize it was going to focus so much on the families involved in the murders. And yeah, because of that, I think that heightens the movie's tragedy. These were people who uh, the main couple at the center of the film. Their names are escaping me. Ernest and Molly. They were in love, and that's what makes this betrayal so painful to watch and so infuriating when you watch it. It exists as like this romance kind of this twisted romance uh, is kind of a microcosm of America's relationship with the First Nations, and it's very very tragic and um, not an easy watch for a lot of people. So I understand if a lot of people have like visceral and hostile reactions to it, but it's definitely something that I think I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad that this history is captured on in a way that's cinematic. I'm glad that Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio, even at this stage in their careers, are pushing the boundaries of what they can do and really playing with ideas and with characters that test the audience. And yeah, Lily Gladstone absolutely deserves every accolade that she receives for this movie. She's just excellent. I loved her in Kelly Reichardt's movie, Certain Women. She's excellent in Reservation Dogs as well. I've been waiting for her to get a big break, and she's got one, man. She's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like one of the hardest movies to watch this year, if not the hardest. Um, it is so bleak and like devastating for so long. Um, but man, is it gorgeous, dude. Like it's a tough watch, but it's a worthy watch. Like this feels like a mandatory movie this year because of how well executed it is, because Scorsese's still firing on all cylinders, but the subject matter is important to our history and unseen in our history. You're not going to learn about this in high school, but it's real, man, and it built this nation and it shaped so many people, and so many lives. Um, but fuck, is it just devastating to see. It would crack easily crack top five, if not top three, if I were including it. Same with Barbie, same with Oppenheimer. But this one deserves all the love it gets. If it walks away with Best Picture, I will not be mad. 100% will not be upset. But it's just so crazy that Scorsese and De Niro are still making movies and still making movies to this fucking caliber. Like, it is insane. Like, from Taxi Driver to now, like, just the longevity and the talent and the gifts of cinema that those two have brought us. Absurd, absurd, absurd. And Lily Gladstone, fucking magnetic. Absolutely wonderful performance. Brings it home in such a brilliant, heartbreaking way. Um, Amazing pick, fantastic. Um, my number two is Poor Things. Sorry, friend of the show, Brian. You fucking hated this movie for some reason. I loved it. I could not get enough, dude. I thought it was whimsical, thought provoking, fantastical. I feel like I saw the world in a new shade of color after seeing it. Yorgos don't miss is really what it comes down to. The boy does not miss. Yeah, Emma Stone's performance is probably like the toughest character I've ever seen portrayed on film. Like, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you shoot it out of order. There was a actor or a director on director with Yorgos and Ari Aster, and he was like, "Yeah, we shot like the very first scenes of the movie and the very last scenes of the movie, like interchanging, like swapping from one to the other." I'm like, mentally, how the fuck do you do that, Emma? Like, insane, dude. Like, I can't even imagine. But she does it in such a great and convincing way. I think it's a beautiful Frankenstein story in terms of just that plot, and that plot device. I think it's like some of the best execution I've seen in film. Um, the way that they portray sexuality, and reclaiming it for yourself, but not in like a prudish way and like a this is a fun act, so why not just do it kind of way is hilarious at times and beautiful all the time. Mark Ruffalo gets some of the biggest laughs in this, which I did not expect, but deserves it. He's absolutely hilarious. It was great to see him back and killing it in film. Um, yeah, dude, this movie like just has been on my mind every day since I've seen it, and deservedly so. You could interchange it with my favorite of the year. It goes back and forth, but right now, sitting pretty at number two. Go watch it immediately.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I'm not surprised that Brian didn't like it because he and I are always opposites in our
Yeah,
tastes
fair.
almost always. Um, but yeah, so glad it made your top two. That's awesome. Um, my number two is John Wick Chapter 4. This
Yep,
was
I knew it. The second it came out, I was like, "This is Darren's movie of the year."
this is just guns for 3 hours. It's so good.
They should have
So
called it
good.
that. Guns for 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, so John Wick finds himself on the run after committing the gravest possible sin that you could commit in this world, and has to find a way kind of to kind of redeem himself and kind of come and kind of reestablish himself in the world of assassins. Um, and yeah, it's very 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 well executed. This movie isn't just a movie where you see like long takes and oh, there's a blood splatter on the wall. Like, no, this movie will go the extra mile, give you a whole wide variety of killings. There's killings with bows and arrows. There's killings with swords. There's killing with a cane sword. There's killing with cars, with dogs, with yeah. There's a whole lot of different stuff. They use incendiary shotgun rounds, and I have no idea how they do it because to me, to my eye, I can see like plenty of special things. It looks real. It looks like he actually shot a guy with fire, and I don't know how they did it. Um, yeah, this is the most balls to the wall, absolutely insane action movie I've seen since Mad Max Fury Road. I believe it's the best action movie I've seen since Mad Max Fury Road. Um, and it's the only movie this year that features my pop queen, Rina Sawayama, with a bow and arrow, shooting people in the face at point blank range. It is, it just has such a special place in my heart already, and it's been less than a year since it came out. Bill Skarsgård plays the bad guy, and he has such a deliciously cartoonish French accent. I love that every time there's a French bad guy, it's never a French person playing them. It's gotta be a British person with a really bad French accent or a Swedish person with a really bad French accent. And we got the latter this time, and it's not bad. It's good, but it's good for this movie. Um, Keanu, of course, brings probably the best physical performance of the year. And Donnie Yen gets added to the franchise as well. Hiroyuki Sanada gets added to the franchise. Scott Adkins. So many action movie legends are here in this movie. It's stacked to the brim, and the some of the best cinematography of the year too. I think after my number one and after Godland, I think this might be the best shot movie because of just how they're able to use colors in various scenes. Um, and yeah, there's literally so many scenes where I genuinely have no idea how they accomplish some of these stunts. And then I go to the behind the scenes on YouTube and they just did it. They just did it. They just fall down the escalator for real. Um, they just fall out of the building for real. And I'm like, man, these guys are on another level. And there are so many different references too to 1920s and 1970s cinema. So it's in a sense a love letter to those movies as well. There's all these different interesting layers to the John Wick franchise. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes from here because it like has a it this could have been the last one and it would have been great, but they're like, no, they give you an end
I
credits. It's
thought
like,
it
okay.
was the last.
Um,
I thought it was.
there's a little end credits thing that they give you.
Mm,
But yeah,
nice.
chapter
Yeah,
four.
the John Wick franchise and I don't really see eye to eye. It's not quite my tempo. Um, I w- I heard so much hype about this movie, so I even like rewatched the first one. I watched the second one, and then I got burnt out again. I was like, it's just not for me. So I didn't even see the third, and I haven't seen the fourth. Um, but I love that they gave the fans what they deserve and what they needed, what they wanted. They ticked every box for every single fan of this franchise. And for a fourth movies, sorry, Expendables, that's like impossible to do. Like that's such a high mark to hit, and to make it like pretty much the universal favorite of the franchise from what I've seen is crazy. So I got all the respect in the world for this movie. It's just not for me. This is what it comes down to.
I I will say the second one, chapter two, is the weakest one. So maybe give yourself a year and then try chapter
Okay,
three.
all right.
Um,
I,
because it just gets
I,
progressively more flamboyant, and that's why I like it.
yeah, that's fair. Maybe that's what I need. Because I liked the first. I didn't love it, but I liked it. Second, yeah, if it's the weakest, maybe I'll hop back on. Maybe I'll give it another shot.
Yeah.
But to be determined. What you don't have to convince me to give a shot is the movie I haven't fucking shut up about all year. My number one is Bottoms. I did not expect this to stick, but it did. It hung true at the top, never to be dethroned. Um, Directed by Emma Seligman, co-wrote and starring Rachel Sennett, alongside Ayo Edebiri, and a fucking amazing cast of supporting characters. Every single one kills it. I don't know, this movie kind of marks a change in how I view cinema almost. I feel like this was the year that like I took it less seriously. I didn't like just go for art house movies through and through, but rather was just like, let's just have fun again. And Bottoms made cinema fun again for me. I think it's goofy as fuck. I think it's sarcastic. I think the jokes per minute is crazy if you account for every little thing in the production design. They do like the airplane thing where they'll just be walking somewhere or doing something, but over the loudspeaker is just the most insane shit you've ever heard. Random signs in the background are hilarious. Um, and every moment of this feels so unique and fun, but also like feels like it's parroting and paying homage to 1,500 movies before it. There's so many visual references and even like straight up line rips that they take from other movies that just have so much love for cinema in it. Specifically like 2000 cinema and movies that like are just kind of seen as like fun schlock. They reframe them, they like claim them for the gays, which is great. And it's beautiful, dude. Everything about this movie is delightful. Ayo Edebiri has my damn heart. Yeah, I love it. Start to finish. Haven't shut up about it. Won't shut up about it. I'll keep watching it. Long live Bottoms.
I'm so glad. When I heard what your number two was, I was like, hell yeah, I know what his number one is.
Yeah, you knew it was gonna be on here somewhere. It'd be crazy. Imagine I didn't even mention it. Honorable mentions. It just like goes unmentioned after all I've said.
Yeah, I was like visualizing the race between all the movies I knew you would like, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
go Bottoms, go Bottoms, go. Yes, exactly. I wholeheartedly agree with all of that, and I believe that Marshawn Lynch should be nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the Academy
Agreed, dude.
Awards.
Get popping the
Um,
motherfucker.
the Holocaust. It happened.
The shot of him just crossing out feminism on the chalkboard will like anytime I hear his name, that's what I'm gonna picture.
And it's perfectly synced up with the have to be so complicated. Perfect.
Oh, go
Ex-
watch Bottoms.
Go watch Bottoms, indeed. I know you watched my number one because they made over $2 billion together. That's right, guys. My number one's a tie between Barbie and Oppenheimer. Woo! Surprise, motherfucker.
I thought the time was coming because I was like, he didn't mention either of the honorable mentions. He mentioned briefly Oppenheimer at like in his 10th spot, but
Yeah, no, man. These movies are tied together in terms of their destiny, and in terms of their place in cinema, and in their place in pop culture, and their
Mhm.
place in my heart. I can't separate the two. I think about the other one while I'm watching the other one,
Yeah,
and even
as you should. The way
it's
God intended.
it's weird, but they both make each other better. And yeah, this was the one of my favorite summers in all of cinema history. because of those two and Mission Impossible coming out in the same week. Like, oh my god. Um, yeah, we had a whole episode about Barbie and Oppenheimer together. And did you hear that?
Yeah, it sounded like you were about to get eaten.
Yeah, I think someone's just raiding a dumpster. Um,
Godzilla's pissed. He's not number one.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, yeah. Barbie is one of the most entertaining comedies of the year. Oppenheimer is by far the best biopic of the year. I did really love Ferrari, though. It very, very narrowly missed my list, but Ferrari uh, by Michael Mann. I'm so glad Michael Mann is back making movies, and Adam Driver. But yeah, but Oppenheimer by far, I don't even know if I could even classify it as a biopic because it's a Christopher Nolan movie. This feels like something that he's been building to for the past few years. I love that this guy, that his career exists, that you can be someone who makes $150 million to $200 million experimental films, and it works. It works so well. I'm so glad that Cillian Murphy finally has mainstream success outside of Peaky Blinders and on the big screen. He is a fantastic leading man. He's my favorite choice besides Paul Giamatti for Best Actor this year. Um, and yeah, what can I say about Barbie that everybody else isn't already saying? This movie is just it's so funny. It's so interesting. It's way more interesting than it needs to be. Um, you can see kind of tongue in cheek love for cinema uh, just all over it with Baumbach and Gerwig's writing. Gerwig's directing is very it's very reminiscent of Kubrick and of uh, Jacques Demy and whoever the hell did Wizard of Oz. I'm sorry,
I don't
sorry.
remember. So.
Um, but yeah, they both put all of their love into this art form, into this movie, and they didn't have to. They could have just made a fun Barbie, whatever adventure, and I would have been satisfied. But no, they took Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling uh, on a really awesome journey, and yeah, if they ever do a sequel, I would be excited. But if they don't, honestly, this movie could
Fine.
stand well on its own, and just be the definitive Barbie movie that we've seen. Um, to me, these movies have just a. I'm just so glad that they exist, and I can't wait to buy both on 4K Blu-ray.
Yeah, I think the good Lord above every day that the Amy Schumer one didn't happen, so we could get this one. Yeah, Barbie is absolutely incredible comedy. Everything about it just works. It's way funnier. It's way deeper. It's way more lovable than I ever imagined when I heard about it. And I had some high hopes, vastly exceeded. Incredible, incredible. And Oppenheimer is a fucking triumph of cinema, dude. All practical effect. You made a movie about the nuclear bomb with only practical effects. Like psycho move. Um, the cast is extensive. Fucking Josh Peck is even in this, and every single person absolutely annihilates their performance. It really is like the biopic of the year. I think it's like peak cinema. Barbenheimer was just like movies are back. Enjoy. Like that's what it felt like. And I loved it, dude. It was a great year for movies. These two are kind of the peak of it in terms of like impact on society. But I think they're just also the epitome of every other movie we've mentioned here. Everything is just kind of working for it. We mentioned set design. We mentioned just satirizing anything you can, and Barbie does that excellently. It's just a beautiful, beautiful time to be alive and love in movies, and those two movies exemplify it perfectly.
Hell yeah. Great list, Jared.
You too. Very different lists too. I feel like this
Yeah.
is our most different list to date. Go us.
It did help that you excluded the three most popular choices for top
Yeah,
tens.
we would have had 3 more crossovers without a doubt. So, yeah, but still, we did good.
We did very good. We did very good. Um, yeah, folks. I don't know where. I think you can stream Barbie on Max. Um,
Hmm.
I would suggest buying both because you should see them in the highest possible quality. Um, but yeah, I'm I'm curious how they'll do in the Academy Awards. I'm not sure if either of them could get Best Picture. I think it'd be funny if they both like got the same amount of awards but lost Best Picture to something else.
Yeah,
Like if they both won seven.
I think if I had to guess, I think that'll happen. I think Killers will take Best Picture, and then I think like Oppenheimer will take a lot of the like more technical, and I think Barbie will get some of the acting, especially like supporting and like soundtrack and like set design kind of stuff. But it'll be very interesting to see. We will see eventually.
You're predicting that Gosling's gonna get nominated and win?
I think he'll get nominated. We'll see if he wins. But like I don't know. It'd be hilarious if he won over RDJ. Like it would just feel so good. I don't know. I could see it happening, and I want it to happen.
It would be so funny that after years of the film bros complaining that Ryan Gosling doesn't have an Oscar, he finally gets one for Ken.
He is Knopf.
He is indeed, and I think we've had enough of this episode. So, um, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be taking a little bit of a break, so we won't be paying the SoundCloud fee for our RSS feed. What that means is you won't find most of our episodes on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, etc. For now, we'll be pretty much uploading exclusively to YouTube. Um, and yeah, any other changes will be announced in um, whenever if I even get around to it, because I want to do a lot of different stuff this year. We're both filmmakers,
Mhm.
and we're filmmakers first, and we want to prioritize that. So, but I appreciate you if you are a consistent listener. Thank you for waiting so long for our this episode, and yeah. Anything else you want to leave the people with, Jared?
No, sir. Thank you. We got a lot of episodes. Thank you for joining us for most or all of them, or even some, or just this one. Anyway, no matter how much you listened, I appreciate it. Let us know your favorites, please. I need to watch more movies at some point, so I gotta add more to this list. Um, and thank you, Jared, for being a wonderful co-host, producer, editor, friend,
Hmm.
lover, all the above. Anyway,
We're
bye.
all right. We love you guys. Bye.